I think we can all safely say that when this year is over, we can just scratch it off of the whiteboards and just say 2020 never happened, because this morning Chadwick Boseman died. This video is not going to be about that. I'm only talking about Lucifer later, but I felt like I had to at least mention that, because I wouldn't be doing this if so I don't usually get emotional when celebrities die, but when it's something to do with the comic book fandom and comic book movies, it hits hard, and this hit nearly as hard as Stan Lee did. And I don't want to compare how important they were, because Chadwick Boseman was very important to a lot of people, mainly black fans of comic books and black fans of comic book movies, because they saw themselves in Black Panther, and the fact that he can't continue to do that, and the fact that story can never be finished, or it's got to change now. It sucks. It really sucks. And 2020, just please end, because I can't. I'm gonna get on with the video now, but I feel like I had to say a few things. And just, Chadwick Boseman, you're an amazing talent, and one of the best in the biz. Even though I've gone on record and said that Black Panther isn't one of my favourite Marvel movies, I think you can just admire the talent and the amount of people that were touched by his performance in not just that movie, but so many others. And it's just really important to celebrate his life and to celebrate what he accomplished, and what he means to so many people. But yeah, I'm gonna go on with the video. Roll the intro. Lucifer Season 5 Part 1. Right. This is weird, isn't it? Because I've never in my life have I known a show to bring out a season in 2 parts. I think that was either because they expected this to be the last season, or because they thought this season was going to be big and the best one yet. And I can say it's neither one of those. It's not as good as Season 4. It's probably the weakest season so far, in my opinion. Just because it goes against everything that Season 4 was kind of trying to make the show into. I feel like this show is starting to run into the point where it's gone on for a bit too long and it needs to wrap up. Kind of like what I said in my Umbrella Academy video, where shows need to know when to stop. And I feel like Lucifer is coming to the point where it needs to stop, and it probably should have stopped at the end of Season 4. Not to say that this season is bad. There's good stuff in it. They do good stuff with some of the characters, mainly the side characters. But I just feel like as a whole, it doesn't do what I wanted it to do. And it doesn't go in the direction that I wanted it to go. The direction that I wanted it to go was to steer away from the whole procedural cop show drama stuff and go more into like this less episodic storytelling, and more along the lines of like your Daredevils, your Luke Cage, your everything else. And I think with Netflix at the helm, I thought they were going to do that, because that's what was happening in Season 4. Season 4 had a lot of cool moments, and the ending of Season 4 was really damn cool. And I wanted more of that, and we got instead less of it, and we got fucking Sharon Osbourne making an appearance, and we got just another murder of the day kind of storyline. The like crux of the show and what this season is actually about, which is Michael, the twin brother of Lucifer, coming to Earth, and Lucifer having to come back from hell to kind of fight his twin brother, who's trying to make his life a misery. It's a cool story, and it's something that I really would have wanted pushed to the forefront. And it's just kind of, it's there in the first 3 episodes, it's there in the last 2 episodes, but it's not at the forefront for the entire bulk of the middle. And the entire bulk of the middle is where I started losing interest. From about episode 4, I thought, when they did the whole like noir kind of thing, I thought that was a neat idea, and I thought that was cool, but it wasn't good enough. You know, it didn't progress the story enough for me to actually care. It's more just, oh, we're gonna give Maze something to do. Oh, we're gonna give Amenadiel something to do. We're gonna give Dan something to do, and we're going to have a majority of this just to be Lucifer and Chloe kissing, and that's the whole show. It's just Lucifer and Chloe. They're a thing now, and they kind of act like the whole will they won't they thing was the whole reason why people were watching the show, and they're kind of acting like that is the thing that was keeping people hooked, and it's not. Like, the thing that was keeping people hooked was the whole celestial stuff, and like the actual like all the like celestial biblical like lore of the show, and I feel like that's the most interesting stuff about the show, and it's the stuff that gets shafted to the sidelines, or it gets kind of just lost in the monotony of we have another murder that we've got to solve, And I haven't read Neil Gaiman's Lucifer. I haven't read any of the Lucifer comics actually, but I don't think any of them are like this. I don't know, but I don't think any of them are like this. And the fact that they chose this to be what they were going to turn Lucifer into, I don't get it. And it's not the stuff that they put in the forefront of this season isn't the stuff that I wanted as a progression of the show, and as the show leads into its second half. I also really like where it goes though. I also really like the ending of this half of the season. Like when we just have God showing up. I feel like it was kind of a bit of a disappointment that it wasn't Neil Gaiman as God. But also, I do kind of like the guy that they've got to play God. I would have preferred someone taller, maybe, because I find it a bit funny if they had like the guy playing God and he's just shorter than all of his sons, and he'd just be like, yeah, what? Maybe Danny DeVito is God. Okay, but yeah, I really like where it's going, and I hope we get to see like heaven. And we get to see what that looks like, and what the Lucifer show turns heaven into, because we have an interesting, different depiction of hell. It's not like just on fire. It's more this like cold, like version of hell where we get to see like other people's hell loops. What is heaven is like their heaven loops, where you get to relive the best part of your life over and over and over again. I guess we'll find out in the next half of the show. But that's the stuff that interested me, and unfortunately, that's not the stuff that's, you know, been at the forefront of this show, and that's really unfortunate, because when this show is good, it's good, and when it's not, it's just boring. And there were episodes in the middle that were boring, and I hate to say it, because I really liked seasons 1 through 4, because this season it's not bad. I'm talking about it like it's bad. It's not bad, but it is kind of boring. The stuff that I liked was all of the stuff with Michael, and you know, when Tom Ellis is playing Michael, when he's not playing Lucifer, it feels like a different person. It's like you're watching a different person, and that just speaks to the talent that Tom Ellis has. Like, not a lot of actors can play two different roles in the same show and make them feel so different, and make it feel like you're almost watching a different person. Even when like the two are fighting, it feels like a different actor fighting Tom Ellis. It doesn't feel like Tom Ellis fighting himself. And that doesn't even go into like the way that he visually makes him different, like with the like slanky army American accent, the scar on his face. It goes into like the way that he looks at people, and there's more like sinister vibes from like just his look and his demeanor, and the way that he walks, and just everything about Michael in this show is just perfect. And Lucifer, again, Tom Ellis is a great actor, and he's the best part of this show. But it's just everything around him is kind of boring. Dan is the least interesting Dan that we've had. He gets some interesting stuff from the end where he's kind of played by Michael, and then when he actually finds out that Lucifer is the devil, that's kind of interesting, and I like what they do there, and how they explain to Dan that, you know, Lucifer is actually a good guy. But yeah, everything up until that point, because that happens 2 episodes from the end, and everything up to that, Dan is like into this self-help stuff, and he's being really nice to Lucifer, but Lucifer is just being an asshole to him, and it kind of makes Lucifer feel a bit like a bully to Dan, where he still calls him like Detective Douche, even though Dan is trying his best to just be nice, and just, you know, because at the end of the day, Dan is just trying to cope with the death of someone that he loved, and he's just got to deal with Lucifer being like, oh yeah, you're a douche, and yeah, but he's not though. He's genuinely trying to cope with the death of a loved one, and you're just picking on him for no reason. So it does kind of make Lucifer turn into this kind of like asshole character, which we all know he was, but you know, I don't know. Maze is kind of the least interesting Maze, because she flip-flops a lot in this season, and she's told by so many different characters what she's supposed to be doing, and she doesn't listen to the one character that she's supposed to listen to, but instead listens to the one character that she's not supposed to listen to. And her story in this is kind of the exact same as her story in season 3, where she kind of gets played by the villain to, try and hurt Lucifer. Chloe is the least interesting Chloe. Amenadiel is probably at his most interesting here, actually, because you just have him like worrying about how he's going to be a good father to his son, and when he eventually finds out that his son is mortal, he just goes apeshit on Michael and just completely wrecks him. And that final fight in the last episode, before God actually shows up, is really cool, really stylistic. And I like that everyone has their own diverse fighting style. Like, Amenadiel is more like a martial artist, and Lucifer is more of a boxer, and we actually see like their fighting styles, and we see that's cool. That's the cool stuff that I want to see. But it's the minimal in this show. That's the afterthought. The main crux of this season is the will they, won't they of Chloe and Lucifer, and it's the least interesting part of the show, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I thought of Lucifer Season 5 Part 1. So far, my least favourite bulk of episodes from this show. Again, up to this point, I'd probably say Season 3 was my least favourite, just because I thought it went on for a bit too long. But this just kind of bored me from like episode 4 to episode 6. There's just no story there. That's all filler, and then there's story in the first 3 episodes and the last 2 episodes. And they really could have shortened this down to 5 episodes and just focused on that. And then the next season be another 5 episodes. And they've got 10 episodes, and that's what Netflix usually does. And they could have released it all like that. And that would have been fine. I would have been fine with that. Just 10 episodes of really good instead of 16 episodes of just meh. And that's probably the best word that I can describe Lucifer Season 5 Part 1 with. Meh. If they do everything that I said for them to do, and they focus more on the celestial stuff and the action, and have the Chloe and Lucifer thing just be a thing in the show instead of it being the forefront of the show, and they continue to make the side characters interesting, then I think that Season 5 Part 2 could be the new hype for the show. Because it does set up to be the new hype for the show, because we have God introduced, we have this like sibling rivalry between Lucifer and Michael, we have Amenadiel caught in the middle of everything, and that could be a really cool thing to see. But I don't want to get bogged down by the whole, oh, it's a romance show and we've got to put the romance in the forefront, because they don't. Because that's not the interesting part of the show. In my opinion, anyway. If you have a different opinion to me, let me know in the comments below. If you have seen Lucifer Season 5 Part 1, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.